Hello, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening from wherever you are. Thank you for joining us. This is the Ask the Experts for Embrace a New Way of Work with Microsoft 365. We're going to be discussing different ways you can work on files, lists, and tasks, especially within the context of Microsoft Teams. So feel free to use the chat to ask questions. We also have a big group of MVPs on the back end as well, and ready to answer any questions that you have. So keep the questions coming. And when you're also, you can give a thumbs up to any of the questions that you like, and then we'll try to get those on camera as well. And I'm looking at the housekeeping notes. We're going to adhere, please make sure that you adhere to the Microsoft Code of Conduct as well. And I think that's it for housekeeping. So I'm going to keep going and introduce the experts that we have here today. We have Angela Byers, who's the Director of Product Marketing, covering collaborative work management, including tasks, lists, and files, as well as Visio. I'm Shin-Yi Lim. I'm the Senior Product Marketing Manager for Microsoft Planner and tasks across Microsoft 365. And we have Niket Jain, who is the Senior Program Manager for Microsoft List. So we'll start kicking off this morning from Redmond. While questions are coming in, I will start us off with a few questions. So Angela, we always get asked this question about kind of what are the right tools to use with to-do planner and all the task management tools, as well as the new Microsoft List. Just wondering if you could kind of help us kind of navigate the different tools that we have here.
Thank you, Shin-Yi, for that question. I personally really like using the whole range of tools. For us, we really think of To-Do and Planner as purpose-driven apps that are great at tracking tasks. So To-Do for your individual tasks and Planner for your team tasks. And Lists is actually so much more. When you need to track more than just tasks in a project that get done, you need to track the information that comes along with the projects, whether it's tracking assets, inventory. Let's say in this example, as we're planning for Ignite here, we use lists to track the ongoing list of recordings that need to be done. All the information with the speakers, the title, abstracts, is it recorded yet or not? We need that permanent, persistent list. So it's very versatile, and I think that actually using all of them together makes managing work amongst us a lot easier. Back to you, Shin-Yi.
Thank you, Angela. Niket, I have a question for you, so I hope you're ready. For all those users who have been using SharePoint lists for a while, what do they have to do to get ready for Microsoft Lists?
Thanks, Shin-Yi. To answer that, I think Microsoft List is just an evolution of SharePoint Lists. So like earlier, whatever you have been doing with, if you've been an ardent user for SharePoint Lists, you automatically get Microsoft Lists. So there's no differential over there. If your license allows you to create lists via SharePoint at this point of time, eventually over the period of time, as we reach 100%, the rollout side, you would start accessing Microsoft Lists as well. So the functionality wise is absolutely same. It's more about the differential between the two is in your Microsoft List, you get your personal list as well as the most recent used list as a platform. Versus in SharePoint List, the list belongs to a team site or a communication site. So this is the basic difference. Over to you, Shin-Yi.
I'll follow up with that because there are a couple of questions. Richard is asking what happens to the list when someone leaves the organization when everything is saved on OneDrive.
So that depends upon two things. The list, in case if it's still your personal list, then it gets stored and it gets logged down. Nobody can access your personal list. But if it's a shared list, which is at the team side, since a lot of people in the team site have access to that list still remains. I hope that answers.
Yes, sorry, I was getting off mute. Always the perpetual problem nowadays. I have another list question. Sorry to put you on the spot, Niket. When will list title in the portal be available? I'm not sure I understand it correctly, but hopefully you do.
No, I absolutely do, and this has been one of the burning questions that we've been receiving from a lot of users at this point of time. Happy to answer that. I think we are rolling out aggressively, and we are hoping that by this month end or early next month, we should be reaching out to maximum amount of users. No timelines per se as such yet, but yeah, we are aggressively rolling it out, and you soon would have it inside your office portal. Back to you, Shin.
It's Angela. Maybe you'll be able to answer this question. Will Cortex topics make it to Teams, or is it planned? It's not exactly related to files, lists, and tabs, but since I think you are familiar with the space a little bit, so maybe you can take that question.
Sure. I think that Cortex topics, well, just like many of our experiences, is targeted to be available through Teams. I can actually look it up in a chat window. I know the team is hosting some virtual booths today and tomorrow. So let me look that up and pop that in the chat window.
Thank you, Angela. I actually have an interesting, well, not interesting, but like I have a question I have for Niket. What is your favorite use case for Microsoft List that you can share with our audience today?
Oh, I use lists as my personal lists a lot. I track a lot of my daily stuff in the list, which I make sure that I use it even in the work as well as on my personal commitments that are happening. And I've seen a lot of users using it for the same as well, wherein they track items which they plan to accomplish in the coming weeks or time, though they are not able to fulfill any intentional tasks through it, but having the flexibility to filter, sort, group by, put different views on it, it gives productivity and other wins. So yeah, I think that's one use case which is top of my mind that I use it for. Back to you, Shin-Yi.
Thanks, Niket. I'm going to answer a question that I've been getting a lot in the other sessions, the other ATs and other DBs Q&As. Tasks and Teams was announced, rollout was announced in July, and why haven't I received it yet? So that's like a very popular question, so I'll address that. So we're in the middle of rolling out Tasks and Teams to desktop. We're very close to rolling out to everybody. So in a few more weeks, we expect it to reach everybody on desktop. After desktop rollout, we will be hitting mobile rollout, and then soon after, we'll work on the rolling out to the government cloud. So we're very, very excited to get this in your hands. I know it's been taking a long time. Thank you for your patience. It's coming. I cannot wait for you guys to see the experience. Niket, I have a question for you. When do you use Microsoft Lists, and when to use Power Apps in Teams?
Thanks, Shin-Yi. So I use Microsoft Lists and Power Apps rather together. I don't use them one or the other because Power Apps brings in more power to lists at this point of time. Whenever you want to customize certain things, wherein you want some, so Power Apps, by the way, give you two things. It can give you forms as well as flows. But if I just talk about forms, you want some little complicated customizations that you want to bring to the forms. That's where I head to Power Apps. Versus if I want to do some simple customizations, let's say show hide certain columns on the forms, or quickly just do some conditional formatting on the form, I stick with lists. Yeah. Back to you, Shin-Yi.
Thank you. Angela, there's a question here on when should I share a list in To-Do, and when should we use Planner?
Yeah, I think that's a really interesting question, and I think some people have really come to embrace To-Do within Outlook, and then some people have really come to embrace Planner within Teams. For us, we really thought about that. Both have a place in helping users manage their list of tasks. To do for your individual tasks, especially with its close integration in Outlook, where you get your emails every day, and then Planner for your team tasks, where it's just so easy to assign tasks to each other. For me, I've actually used Planner for almost every product launch that I've overseen. It's just the card view, the task boards, with the buckets, makes it so easy for me to organize. Okay, like here's what's got to happen with event or announcement, and then with getting the field and partners ready, and a list of tasks that go on in there. So I think that there's a place for both, for different use cases.
Thank you, Angela. I'm looking at a question from Alex. Are you planning to make task creation available from chat messages? Yes. If you check out the Get More Done with Microsoft Planner session, we actually made that announcement. It will be coming soon, where you are able to turn a Teams chat or channel conversation and create a task out of it. And then you can decide whether it goes to do or Planner. Doesn't really matter, because it's all going to end up in tasks and Teams. So that's the vision. Another question I see from Michael: any timeline available that can be communicated on whether the legacy tasks in other products will become deprecated? I don't think there's any general announcements that we can make here. As you can see, like Outlook tasks, as we're modernizing Outlook, the Outlook for the web task experience is now powered by To-Do. It's the same experience. What we know from this journey is we're trying to kind of integrate all these different endpoints of where these tasks show up. And so kind of that's like, but there's no, I think, explicit plans on deprecating certain task entities, if that makes sense. I'm gonna flip over to Niket. There was a question about Project Nucleus. When will, I think it just disappeared on me, but when will Project Nucleus improvements be coming to SharePoint list?
Thanks, Shin. The Project Nucleus will be coming to SharePoint list soon. I think official communication is still yet to be made, and the dates will be announced very soon. Back to you, Shin.
Thank you. Okay, so there's another question for you, Nika. From Frederic. When should you use the new list, and when is it just a list in your SharePoint site associated with your team, or is it the same?
Thank you for that question, Shin. I think they both are same. Unless you're using your personal list, which is the new concept which Listrom provides you with. But if you already have a list inside a team, it will be available in Listrom as well. So you don't have to worry about anything. All the lists that you ever created will reside inside Listrom. The only power that you get along with Listrom is your personal list. Back to you, Shin-Yi.
When can we expect tasks to replace Planner in Teams? Actually, I think I'd address that so very soon. And I think I will also just like address kind of the name change, just to make sure to reduce the confusion out there. So that even as people are receiving the new experience as we're rolling out, it's the app in the Teams is still going to be called Planner, and only when we hit 100% desktop rollout in a few more weeks, then the app name will change from Planner to Tasks. So just wanted to also clarify that, because we understand it's a little confusing in the rollout process, but that's what's happening. It's going to flip over to Angela. While I'm like navigating the questions, what are your favorite use cases for Planner?
To run my team, I really do find it an intuitive way of a lightweight way of keeping track of things across the team. Just expanding on the example I shared a little earlier, in launching kind of any new product, like the new project we launched last year, we have to work across a really large V team of people in Microsoft, not just the great product folks who bring the products to life. So got to track that bucket of the key milestones that they have, but also a lot of the different functional marketing teams, from the website team to make sure to get the new website up, the commerce team to make sure to get the new SKU out the door, publish in the system, and to the great ecosystem of folks we have, from our sellers, partners, to MVPs like yourself. We've got to track what each task card of when we've done the communication, we've released the notes, the Q&A, and all of that. I love the rich task cards, actually. I love that in each task card, I can write notes for myself, and as well as so other people can see what sub-steps that we're in. Yeah, it looks simple. It's actually, we've heard from customers who run fairly complex projects straight from Planner, and having it right inside Teams just make it so much easier. Back to you, Shin-Yi.
Thanks. I have a question for Niket here from Matt. Can personal lists be moved to shared space such as SharePoint?
Thanks, Shin-Yi. So personal lists cannot be moved to SharePoint, and there's a reason for that, because personal lists don't have the right kind of access what a team site would ideally have. Team site can have many people along with, because it's a shared collaboration space. What you can do in personal lists is that you can share it with different people, though it will not belong to a team site, but it absolutely can be shared with as many people as you want it to. I hope that answers. Back to you, Shin-Yi.
Thank you. I also have a question from Galen here about what is the plan for Project for the Web joining the task experience? I think there are plans to have that show up in tasks and teams in the future. So I think we see tasks and teams as the in your hub for teamwork, a place where you can kind of look at all your tasks and manage your tasks from Planner. And we do have plans in the future to kind of integrate Project for the Web tasks to have that show up in tasks and teams, but that's definitely further down the road. But just to let you know that there are kind of future plans for that. Let's see. Another question from Frederic. Some of our users love the buckets in Planner and wonder if they can have that for their personal to-do tasks as well. Will they get the bucket interface? So for this phase of the rollout, for those who've seen it, your to-do task will remain pretty much like a to-do task, and your Planner task will remain like a Planner task. They don't look the same exactly yet, but for a lot of the work that we're doing, we're constantly thinking of convergence and for all the different task experiences, and therefore the Planner team and the to-do team are talking to each other to figure out what are the elements that we need to kind of bring more coherence there, and what elements would make sense from Planner to move to to-do and vice versa. So that's always a continuous discussion and journey. So thanks for your question there. Niket, maybe you can answer this question from Antonella. Can you expand on what Project Nucleus will be able to do?
Yeah, so I'll try to answer that as best as I can. So Project Nucleus actually removes the throttle that at some point of time existed for 5,000 lists. It gives lists the power to go offline as well, in case you want to have editing capability when you have low latency and low network connectivity. The second thing it does is that it caches certain items, which allows you to have them access on the fly with or without network. Though at some point of time, while the 5K limit has been removed, I believe that a year and a half back, while we said that 30 million items can be supported less going forward, though the experience was not the best at par. Project Nucleus removes that barrier too, and says that items can be loaded much faster without connectivity. I hope that answers shit. Back to you.
Thanks. Angela, so there is a question here that asks, in the future, would there be an option to have dependencies within Planner? I believe That's also one of the popular questions that we get from customers.
Thanks, Shin-Yi. It is a popular question, and as many of you probably are aware, it's actually the same product team that built both Planner and Project. So it's a discussion item amongst many things of like, hey, where's the line between Planner and Project? And looking through the Q&A in the chat window, you guys are absolutely spot on that, you know, there will come a time as you manage projects in Planner that you figure out, gosh, I need to explicitly track dependencies and see that Gantt view, being able to see the dependencies adjust back and forth as you adjust different due dates of different tasks. That is absolutely a time, an indicator to go to Project and Project for the Web, which some of you have mentioned here, which is we rolled that out last year and is now rolling out in Teams, which adopts a fresh new UX. So it looks a lot like the familiar planner that you are familiar to, and it has a new price point of just $10 per user per month. So I think in short, dependency tracking continues to be something that we think that is what Project for the Web should have.
I'll keep you on camera, Angela, because there's a question about Project, which I know you're familiar with as well. What's the difference between Project for the Web and Project Office?
Yeah, I think that when people say Project for Office, I'm assuming that they might have meant Project Online. And if there is more nuance in the licensing and entitlement, please, you can feel free to follow up and ask it on Tech Community later. Yeah, so Project for the Web is our latest project subscription as well as service that's built on the Power Platform. We released that last fall, I believe. We announced that last Ignite and started rolling out around the end of the calendar year. And so that came with the new subscription price of $10 per user per month, or starting at that level. Project Online was the existing service that was built on the SharePoint platform. So for now, they continue to coexist. And if you get Project Plan 3, then you have access to both services. As well as, I don't think it's an E5. That's why I was a little tripped up by the question, but perhaps we could, you can follow up with us later because there are some deep nuances in entitlement, but Project is not included in E5.
Thanks, Angela. There was a question on, I can't find the person's name. I apologize, but about whether or not we can have, we have plans for multiple checklists in a task card or more checklist item on the checklist. So we're constantly, listening for feedback. Planner user voice and user voice for any of the products. Feel free to go to user voice and kind of upvote something or add new ideas for us to consider. That is something that we have heard a few times, and we're monitoring that, and so we're evaluating that as well. So just remember to use user voice for Planner, for SharePoint, I believe. Niket, do you want to talk about how the audience can kind of provide feedback for Microsoft List? Is that also on user voice on SharePoint?
Yeah, Shin, absolutely. So people can just go over there and put in the requests that they have, and we absolutely follow and cater to all the requests that come on user voice. Back to you, Shin.
Thank you. So I just want to call out that we are 5 minutes to the end of the session. So we're going to take a few more questions, and then we will wrap up after that. There's a question here, Nika. Can you create a list from an existing OneDrive list and move content?
All right. OneDrive is not a list precisely. OneDrive is a library, and library is slightly different than a list. But you can absolutely create a list from a list in case you already have an existing list in SharePoint somewhere and you want to create another list from there. You can do that. But from OneDrive, maybe I don't know that. Actually, you can't do it because they both are totally different things. Back to you, Shin.
Okay, there's also another question. To move a list in OneDrive to SharePoint, is there a move option, or do you need a third-party tool or first-party PowerShell to do that?
So to move a list anywhere, to create a list from a list, you absolutely can do it right away from the product itself. In case you go on the plus new icon while you're trying to create a list, you can do it by 3 ways. You can either start it from a scratch or from an Excel, from a list, which is the third option, and the new one that we just introduced from a template. So the one that you're talking about is from a list. Absolutely, you can just do it on the plus new, create list option. Back to you, Shin.
Thank you. I have one more question for you, Niket, keeping you on camera. When will Microsoft List be available on government clouds?
So there's no separate timeline for that. It's going to get rolled out along with Microsoft List, like it's going to be rolled out to everyone else. There's no specific dedicated timeline for government clouds. So you just have to wait for the announcement to come by. Back to you, Shin.
Thank you. Trying to, well, while I'm scrolling, please also check out aka.ms/virtualhub/collaboration. That's where we have all our sessions that we've recorded on files and lists and tasks, as well as kind of additional resources so you can figure out where to go and learn more. As you can see there, we have a link for where you can learn to collaborate on files and teams, learn more about Microsoft List and Planner. So feel free to check those out after the session. Oh, okay. Niket, is Microsoft List included in the O365 E3 license?
Yeah, absolutely it is. It is a part of E3, and in case you have access to SharePoint, you absolutely would have access to Microsoft List as well. Back to you, Shin.
All right. Well, I think one last question, and I think it's a good wrap up. Since Angela covers both all of files and lists and tasks, Angela, why don't you kind of share kind of like what how we envision all this work together for in today's new way of working?
Yeah, I think even before COVID, before we all started working from home, we realized the benefit of being able to work on our files in the cloud. We realized the benefit of being able to keep track of all the tasks with our team members and all the information that comes with running any projects or workflow. But I think even more so now, as we're remote and we don't have the ability to run into each other, hopefully soon, but we don't yet have a chance to run into each other like we did. And so, we've heard a lot from our customers too, how they've really ramped up their usage in each of these areas. And they've really appreciated the fact that we're really kind of bringing all of those experiences in the same hub in Teams. So you don't have to, if you are living in Teams all day, as I'm experiencing now, I can get to all my files in there. I can get to all the share files. I can look at all of the planner tasks and see what's assigned to me. And of course, the various lists of information of team meetings, agendas that I have to get on, all inside Teams. And so I think that, we're going to increasingly kind of think about, as we bring great capabilities, how we make that flexible, but also at the same time make it just a seamless experience inside Teams. You guys asked a lot of great questions about integration and relationships amongst different capabilities, and that's something that across the product teams they continue to think about, because we really do think that when you use these experiences together, they are powerful. And they're all included in your E3 license, so why not get more value out of what you already have? All right, we're at 5:30.
Yeah, I think that brings us to a wrap. We'll still finish answering the questions in the Q&A chat, but I want to thank you everybody for joining us. We woke up early, but this is really worth it. Like, I'm really excited for all the questions that came. So thank you very much for joining us.
Hey, Shin, I have a request to make. Can I just take it for a second?
Yes.
Thanks. So we also are going to launch a SharePoint lists iOS app very soon, and I'm going to paste a link for the private preview. Please register in case you're interested to try the app and give feedback. I'm just going to paste a link in the chat right now. Back to you. Thank you.